so good to see you guys here tonight. I'm so excited for another episode of Planning Together, where every week, y'all, I invite a friend on to share with us how they are organizing their life and their heart. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Darian, also known as Darian Plans, and it's so nice to meet you. I cannot wait for you guys to meet my wonderful friend Cynthia from Cynthia Plans. She is married, she's a working mom, and she lives in Orlando. Through her Instagram and YouTube channel at Cynthia Plans and her blog Prosecco and Planner's Job, which is probably one of my favorite things, she inspires and encourages folks to visualize their highest self so they can create a life of healthy habits and personal growth. Like, come on, like we all need to be friends with Cynthia. And y'all, not only is she beautiful, but she has a beautiful heart as well. And so y'all go ahead and light up those comments and help me welcome Cynthia to Planning Together.
I always miss the countdown because I'm usually putting my son to bed at this time, so I've never heard the music intro like that. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I need to make sure that I'm on time more often.
Yeah, it's my little bop that I like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay. I had kind of a trying day at work today, which was unfortunate because the last 2 days have been awesome, but I feel like that's the universe telling me we need to create a sense of balance so you can have a good day every day. Hard as I try, but I can do my best to start over tomorrow and have a good day.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Y'all, my day has been crazy. If y'all haven't.
I know we're here to talk about me, but I do want you to share a little bit about what your day has been like, because I was just telling you before we got on here with everyone, I didn't put two and two together today that we were doing this on Moxie launch day, and I can't, how are you not tired and exhausted right now?
Honestly, I feel like it's the nerves and the excitement from the launch that has me if anything, more crazy and high energy than I normally am. And so I think it's just the excitement, and it's just been such a great day for us that I've just been and I don't even, Julie said, Darian, have you slept in the last week? Have I slept? Well, I think I've slept. I think sleeping well. I think I'll sleep a little bit better starting tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, it's just been such a fun day, but it has also been really crazy. So, but it's been crazy in the best way. So
yeah, it's that adrenaline that keeps you going, and you just get through all the things. And then at the end of it, you have that moment where you can breathe and crash a little bit, and then you can move on to the next thing.
Yes. And so I was really looking forward to our conversation all day, because I was like, I can just sit and talk to Cynthia and the peeps and just have this moment to just come together each week and just have that time. So for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into planning.
So as you mentioned at the beginning, I'm a working mom. I'm from Orlando, and back in 2014, I had my son, and I've talked about this in another YouTube video too, but he was completely unplanned. So that's the one major incident in life that I did not plan and had no plan for whatsoever. So I just got dropped into being a mom. I dealt with some postpartum depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. My son had acid reflux and had trouble feeding and everything like that too, which if you can't feed your kid as a mom, especially as a first-time mom, it just traumatizes you in a way that you never fully get over. It's just the most basic thing that you're supposed to do for them at that age. So I got into planners as a way to keep us organized, to keep his feeding schedule together. Mommy brain is also a very real thing where you forget all the things. So I had to start writing everything down because I couldn't keep it all straight. So at that time, I jumped into planning with an EC. That was my first planner I ever got. I was really attracted to it because it was obviously super pretty and designed. It was a designer planner compared to what I saw in Office Depot or Staples or anything like that at the time. But also too, it was a vertical layout, which so often when at least it's changed a lot since planning kind of blew up. But I feel like back in the day, it was so hard to find vertical planners. It was a lot of times horizontal. In my brain, the idea of just doing things like in the order of how the day happens. And at that point, the EC planners were split up. I think it was morning, afternoon, and evening. There were like those celebrations. I was like, oh, this is great. Like I can organize, the daytime is when work is happening. The afternoon is kind of that shift where I'm changing from working mom to just mom mode. And then the evening is like when all the mom stuff happens. So it really spoke to me and I just jumped right into it. And I've never looked back since. And it's been, almost over 5 years that I've been in the community now.
Oh my goodness. That's so cool. Okay. I do blame EC for this. That morning, afternoon, night, like the way they did that in the vertical, like it just has stuck with me, right? But then I like switched over to the horizontal, and I love the fact that I was able to just write out a complete to-do list without feeling like I was writing two things on multiple lines. And so I'm always torn between like vertical and horizontal, but that whole cycle of morning, afternoon, night has stuck with me.
It just clicks. And it's funny because I was just watching one of your Team Bob videos recently, and and I was thinking about it too. So I was using EC for a time, and then I left EC because Ring spoke to me, and ironically, that's what I'm back in now, and that's become Planner Piece for me again. But there was a time where I was using Inkwell Press inserts, and their A5 inserts were horizontal, and that for like over a year was my Planner Piece. Same thing. I felt like I could put my to-do list in that space there on the horizontal, and then they kind of had a mini version of the 3 breakdowns. And so that I usually turned into like my schedule or my habits. Like I would put my steps for the day. The last box of the day would be our dinner or a meal plan or whatever it was for the evening. So and it's interesting. There's actually a marketing theory called the power of 3. And it's fascinating as to how like that really in the planner community works for us, and we don't realize that it's a way that our brain accepts and digests information in a convenient like way that okay, that makes sense. So a lot of times at my job, because I work in marketing, we always encourage staff to focus like your top 3 initiatives. You only have a little bit of time to get people to pay attention to things. Pick your top 3 things, focus on that. And it's interesting too how in the planner community, just even our format and our layouts also kind of like align with that power of 3. Darian is like
I've heard of the power of 3, but I've never really actually like read the book and learned more about it. So can you share some ways in which the power of 3 like may look into like everyone's like kind of like within the planner community in different layouts and spreads, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there are the planners like in EC where they have almost like a layout that's broken up in those 3 ways. But like for me, I tend to put like the layout that I'm using right now in my inserts, like my weekly is what it is. And I do break it up by the different times of day, but like my weekly is one thing. That's my complete schedule. My sidebar are like all the like overarching things that happen throughout the whole course of the week. And then the end of the layout is just like my running to-do list where all of those different areas, I kind of like drill down and do like, okay, sure, we have a FPRA meeting or something like that on Wednesday, but during the week, you've got to check the inbox and make sure that you send out the meeting minutes ahead of time and the agenda and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can use that idea of like breaking things down into these groups, and then maybe some things are more specific, some things are a little bit more broad, some things are more in the moment, time sensitive.
I feel like this is like planner psychology right now. And I'm over here like, oh, that makes so much sense, because even when I like write my schedule, I don't like to have more than like 3 things or places or appointments. Like I'm like, if there's 3 things that I have to get to today, like, and I kind of like to keep it, okay, morning, afternoon, night. Like I hate having 2 things at nighttime or 2 things in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. But then even when I split up my horizontal, I do it in 3. Like this is my work to-dos, this is my personal to-dos, and this is my schedule. Like that is how do y'all go ahead and comment? Let us know, like,
I want to know
how do you break up your planners? Like, how do you like organize it? Like, do you do top 3? Do you just do schedule to do workout /health? Like, how do you break up your plan? I think that's so fascinating. Oh my gosh. Okay. So what planners are you currently using? Because you just said you use a ring system.
So, at the beginning of the summer, I moved on from my EC planner and I jumped back into rings because it was always a good place for me. But then travelers notebooks were a thing, and I'm fickle like everybody else in the planner community. So I jump on to what everybody else is doing because I'm like, that's pretty. I want to be like that person. So I was in rings, I jumped into Traveler's Notebook, then I jumped back into EC. Then like I said, just recently got back into rings, but I really love rings because I love the flexibility that it gives you to take and add as you please. I am exploring discs, but I've always had an issue with like how the discs can be a little bit floppy and can move around and stuff like that. Of course, the rings are firmer, so you feel like your things are more secure. And not that I'm throwing my planners around or anything like that, but it just makes me feel like my papers aren't going to go flying out of my planner or anything. So right now I am in a A5 cloth and paper agenda with a couple of different brands for inserts. And then that's kind of like my weekly planner and kind of like my life planner catch-all thing. So my meal plan is in there, my finances are in there. My notes section, I made like a perpetual calendar insert for myself so I wouldn't forget birthdays and anniversaries and things like that. And then over here, I've got my A6 planner. That is from Gillio, and I've got a bunch of different inserts in there too. And that's kind of my everyday planner, my everyday carry. I will say I'm not using it totally consistently. Like some days if I'm really busy, I'm using post-it notes and list pads. Some days if I'm like busy but it's not that dire, then I'm using my Gillio. And then sometimes the way the weeks are right now in COVID times, I'm not very busy at all, so I'm like, I don't need to worry about a daily to-do list today. I can just rely on my weekly planner and go with that. So those are kind of like my main planners. I also use the content planner for my content planning system. That's new to me. I've been using it since the beginning of the summer and I love it. I think it's a really great product. I do content planning because I work in marketing, but specifically I work in digital marketing and social media. So I have content calendars. I've made content calendars for years, but they've always been digital. So I think it's really cool that there's a paper version of that sort of product. And it is a little bit different than planning for a large scale organization online. But for what I'm doing for just a blog and, YouTube channel, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, it's perfect. It suits my needs exactly. So love it. Big shout out to Kat from the content planner. And what else do I have in my system? I abandoned my power sheets from COVID, so I feel like I can't count those anymore. And then when I was in between ring planners and EC, I picked up a Hobonichi because I also really love the Hobonichi. I used that for a period of time. And that's actually what I'm using for my work planning system right now because I just basically like almost bullet journal in it where it's just to-do lists, like daily habits of things that I need to do, like check our project management tool, check our graphics creative request system, checks different inboxes that I'm responsible for, and that's a way that I stay organized with work. So those 4 planners are kind of like my main 4 right now, but I am looking to introduce a 5th thing. I don't know if it's going to be a planner or if it's going to be an insert or what, but I really am interested in getting back into goal setting. So I was talking, I don't think she's on here because she told me she would try and catch the replay, but I am talking to Laura from Laura Plans It to see about buying the Moxie Life notebook companions, unstitching them, punching them, and putting them in my A5 planner system. So that's a possibility. It's out there.
Yes, I know a lot of people are thinking about doing that. For who, like a lot of people are like, I have my planner system. I just want to have like a goal system that's a little bit more streamlined. And since it is perforated, people are able to like just rip it and then do your punching.
And I found with the power sheets that like that was the first like really true goal setting system that I had ever used. And so I found the questions at the beginning of the the work that you have to do at the beginning of the power sheets really helpful to me because it made me like think about things that I've really never taken the time to think about. And I've always been a goal setter. I always make a vision board at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So not that I don't think about these things, but like it was asking deep questions about my legacy that I'm like, I honestly don't know if I've ever thought about my legacy like that before.
Yeah.
So it was really helpful to me, but I did find that having a different system was a challenge. Oh, my dog just ran in here.
Oh, hey.
But yeah, having a different system for my goal setting system versus my daily planning was kind of a detriment to my overall planning system.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So many questions. Okay. So I know that you are really big with content creation. Has that always been something that you've been I did I know that you worked in marketing? I don't know if I knew that or not. So has this always kind of like been a passion of yours?
I've talked about it here and there. I didn't realize I had a passion for it before I started my job. I was just like kind of a natural at it. And so they saw that talent in me at my job. And so I ended up getting a promotion to be the social media manager where I work. And yeah. So,
Yeah, listen, that's a reason to celebrate. Come on, promotion.
I've been in the position for about 4 years. And even 4 years ago, from when I started the position to now, it's evolved in a way that, like, I was just talking to my boss about it last week about some other topics. And I said, if I were to leave, I just want to warn you now. Like, when you hired me, it was an entry level position. The level of work and the amount of content that goes out now, it's no longer entry level positions. Like, you need to hire someone with experience. So just prepare yourself in case I decide it's that time to move on. But I've, like I said, always had a natural talent at it. And then in the job, I've just really I enjoy it. Like, I don't enjoy when people troll us on social media or when they're mad about things. But as far as like the general content creation of being creative, coming up with videos, coming up with blogs, coming up with, a clever way to talk about something very complex in 280 characters, like, I love it. It's a challenge to me. I've always been a writer, and I feel like writing skills are the most critical skills to being an effective content creator, because you can take gorgeous pictures and you can make really cool videos, but if you've got grammatical errors all over your post, or like you can't really convey something in a effective, straightforward way, or if you can't come up with strong calls to action, then it's only going to get you so far. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into that realm. And I've just, done it as like my side hobby. I've got my YouTube channel, I've got my blog. It's kind of my creative outlet where I get to do things that they would never let me do at work, like Prosecco pairings. But it's sometimes hard to find the energy and the creativity and the energy to do that stuff after you've been doing it for sometimes 10, 12 hours a day for work. So it's a passion project of mine, but I always try to give myself room that, like, if I can't hold space for being creative right now for myself, then I'm not going to force it, because it's not going to be authentic and enjoyable for people.
Girl, say that one more time. Say it one more time. That last line, just say it one more time. Say it one more time.
It's not going to be authentic and enjoyable for people. So don't bother.
Yes. I just want to put that in the comments so I can go highlight it when I review this, so I don't forget what she just said.
In the comments. I know y'all are keyboard people, so get on it.
Y'all be on it. Okay. Because I need you to see this. Yes. Cynthia is content queen.
So
yes.
That comment is from one of my best friends, Whitney. She's also an expert content creator. She has been doing social media marketing and influencer marketing for longer than even I have. I get so many great ideas from her. She and I talk every single Saturday. That's like our check-in with each other, the best friend chat. She moved halfway across the country during the pandemic. So I haven't even seen her since February, but we talk literally every single Saturday. And what I love about it is that it's that opportunity for us to cheer each other on, talk about our wins for the week, things that we're struggling with, things that were hard for us, all that kind of stuff, and encourage each other. She and I jumped into the 30-day Reels challenge together. She was very much more on top of it and better at it than I was, and she's awesome. So I would definitely recommend looking into her Instagram account. She's city.wit, I think, on Instagram, giving her a shout out, because if you're interested in Reels, she's a girl.
Go ahead. Listen, Whitney, go ahead and put your stuff in the comments. Yeah, so we can keep up with you. Listen, I love that you just did that. Like, I think it's so important that we have people in our lives that we are able to check in with, and that's going to keep us kind of like, growing together. So, you know what? Go ahead and comment your people in the chat right here.
There's a bunch of people here. I see Meg, I see Myra, I see Vishaka, I see Tammy, I see a bunch of people in here that I love. I love all of them when they do dope content. I'm like, yes, I love it. I'm sending you a DM to tell you how much I love it, or I'm commenting on it, or sharing it to my stories. Actually just started last week, and it's something that I'm going to be continuing going forward, is because Instagram is prioritizing shares to stories and saves over likes and comments right now. Thanks, Julie. what I'm doing is every single week when I see posts that I really like, I'm saving them to like a little folder in my collections on Instagram. And then on Saturdays, I'm going to be sharing them to my stories to be like, hey, you should go follow this person, or this person has beautiful fashion inspiration. Go follow them because they're awesome.
Listen, you just said so much stuff that I love, and I'm agreeing with everybody who's like, Cynthia's fire, giving you the claps, because yes, you always give a new perspective. But just that idea of like saving someone's post and then sharing it, on your own personal story, I feel like, what advice would you give people, like, in a way that I feel like some people feel like, why would I be sharing someone else's stuff? Like in the sense of like that limiting mentality of like, there's not enough space for. Can you speak to that for a second as a content creator?
Not be any further from the truth. Like, the way to grow is by having community. So whether that's community with fellow content creators or community with the people that you should be building a community with, because those are your followers, you should be creating followers for yourself and them first before you think about a brand or what the monetary value or any of those sorts of things are going to bring you. So like I said, it's back to that thing of like, don't create this content if it sucks and you're not being authentic, because then you're helping nobody. You're just putting stuff up for the sake of putting stuff up, and people are going to see through it. They're going to know. And for me, I've always found that being supportive of other people has helped me grow my community. It's opened me up to different people. It's helped when those people want to support me, Julie is someone who always likes my stuff or shares it or leaves a comment on YouTube. And by doing that, sometimes I've gotten someone else who on here too does that is Saray. And I remember Saray a couple months ago shared something. I got like 40 followers because she shared one of my posts to her stories. That's a huge thing. And so whether you're someone who's like a nano micro influencer or someone who's really high up, you've got 45, 50,000 K followers, like, you should be doing those things, because otherwise, like, what's the point of all of this?
Y'all, she is dropping some knowledge and some nuggets. Yes. Come on. I agree with you, Myra. Speaking some truth.
I'm here for everybody. Like, I want everybody to succeed and I want everybody to win. That's why I'm in this community, why I remain in this community. Because for me, at least in my experience, and I respect that maybe that's not been the case for everybody, people have been great to me, and that's what I give them back. The energy that I put out there is the energy that I'm receiving.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, Myra, I'm with you. She said, don't come out on me when I have grammatical errors.
Oh, Myra, it's okay. It's okay. For me, it's like, I know that that's a thing. Like, for me, I have an English degree. Like, I'm not a normal person. Most people don't notice the things that I notice at all. So no judgment like that. I just think when people are lazy about stuff, like when you can see they're clearly not paying attention, then that's probably not a good look.
Yes. I'm with Myra on that. I think I need to invest in Grammarly because it's a real thing. Julie says, Whitney and Cynthia are the reason I started doing IG Reels. Yes, Julie. And I love your Reels. Like everyone else is saying, you have been killing it with your Reels, girl. Yes.
Everybody can do it differently. Like, Reels, there's you can do the Reels that Julie's doing, which is some kind of soundbite and a voiceover, and that's just her funny, humorous way of doing the content. Or you can do content like I do, where it's like time-lapse little bits of my life with little tips or something like that. There's so many different ways that you can approach your content. You just have to figure out what feels authentic for you, what feels right for you, and do that. Let that be your strategy. Let that be your approach. Don't be trying to do what other people are doing if that's not really who you are or what fits for you.
Yes. Did y'all just see that? She said, what's authentic for you and what feels right for you. I just have to say that again, because I think sometimes we get so in our head that it has to look a certain way when it's just like, no, like, what is right for you? I love you. Are a queen, Cynthia. I'm just, Tammy said, yes, saving and sharing is so important right now. Chelsea Plan said, tries, reels, and fails. Haha. I'm absolutely loving watching everyone, though. They're always so good.
You just have to jump in, even if your first one is not very good. I went back to watch my first one, and it wasn't terrible, but I was like, ooh, that transition should have happened sooner, or, oh, the timing on that was not right. Like, if I had to do it all over again, I would have done it differently, and it would be much better than it was, but I just did it. I just jumped in, and the response that I got was incredibly overwhelming. So it's back to that thing of, too, that I think is a theme that's come up on this show before and in other spaces. It's like, it's never going to be perfect the first time you do it. You just have to try it, learn from it, and then make improvements for the next time you do it.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. When you said the way to grow is by having community. One more time for the people in the back. Absolutely. Y'all, Cynthia's preaching. I'm loving all these comments. I was so invested in what you're saying that these comments were going, and I'm like, yep.
Going off in the comments. Yeah, I love it.
Yes, I agree, Tammy.
I appreciate that, Tammy. I think Tammy is also an example of someone who's very authentic and community minded.
Yes, absolutely. And so, my question for someone who's like maybe new to this world and they're like, hey, I'm just trying to do a little bit better with content creation, kind of like what would you say are your first 3 steps to like getting started?
So I started a series and I had to stop halfway through. I'm about to finish it hopefully by the end of this month on content creation. One of the biggest things is like decide what consistency looks like for you. I think that's the number one thing is to be consistent. If you start something and stop it, then you're going to lose momentum and you're going to lose followers and engagement that way. So if it's that you can post on Instagram 3 times a week or something like that, or maybe less so, maybe it's you can only post in feed once a week. That's kind of like my speed, but I can be on stories every single day, then figure out what consistency looks like for you so people can anticipate and expect when you're going to show up. And then the other thing is be very clear on what's your focus? What do you have to say? What value do you have to add to the community? What is your perspective? What is your style? Whatever that is, and be very committed to being that person and consistently show up being that person. And if you have any ideas like, oh, I saw so and so did this and I would like to replicate that or get some advice on how I do that, reach out because for me, like I'm always willing to tell people advice. Like I get a lot of questions about how did you do XYZ with your Instagram stories, or what app did you use to be able to do this with your IG stories? I love to use fancy apps for IG stories. It makes me feel like I'm putting in effort into my content, even though it's like the lowest, bottom of the barrel thing to do, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something. So I'm always willing to share those tips. And then, for example, like the whole reason why I started my YouTube channel is because I was interested in it and I got a lot of encouragement from Julie. She gave me a lot of really great advice. She's got videos up on her channel and everything like that. Whitney was also another person who gave me a lot of encouragement. So I just jumped in and did it. And that's because I had the support and, encouragement of people who wanted to see me succeed.
Yes. And I don't know if y'all caught that. She said reach out. Like,
don't be afraid.
Yes.
I'm not scary. I might be a little bit quiet and reserved, which I think for some people can seem like I'm standoffish. I'm just quiet. But if you come into my DMs, trust, I will have a chat with you. Like every single person that are in these comments that we're talking about here, like some of these people I've never actually met in real life. I only know them through Instagram. And then the other people that are in here, like I know in real life because I was just like, I really like this person, so I'm going to respond to them and talk to them in their DMs and have a whole conversation about whatever it is that, they posted on their IG stories. So you just got to not be afraid and intimidated. So far, it's not done me wrong by being friendly and by reaching out to other people. So I wouldn't steer you wrong.
Y'all, she said it has not done her wrong being friendly and reaching out to people. See, yes. Nuseba, I'm taking notes too. Listen, take the notes and then just go ahead and send me the notes while you're at it. Oh, yes, Lauren. Cynthia is my queen.
Lauren. Oh my God, I just saw Julie's comment. Yes, Kim, slide into my DMs. I talk to Kim like several times a week. All these people you should see my screen time on Instagram. It's insane every single week, but it's not because I'm just scrolling on Instagram. It's usually because I'm watching people's stories and talking to them. That's how I like to spend my free time.
Yes. I love this, Whitney. It's always better to take interest in others than to wait for others to take interest in you. That's good. Next to Cynthia, she's not quiet.
Neither is Julie, but we already know this.
We know that. Love you, Julie. I love this. Okay. Kat said Cynthia checks on me. It's the most beautiful thing ever.
She worries me. I feel like she's like my little planner sister, my South Florida planner sister. Kat and I met for the first time in January. I co-hosted with a bunch of local friends a planner conference in Florida. It was like the last major planner conference before COVID had hit, I feel like, and we got so lucky that we squeezed our event in. But she came to the event. She was actually the first person to secure their ticket, and tickets like went quickly, so it was high in demand. And I remember being on the back end of the ticketing site, and she was like, "I really hope I can make it so I can meet you and everybody else." And sure enough, Kat was the first person to secure her ticket. So Kat and I have a special bond. I love her.
Okay. And what planner conference was this?
So my friends and I hosted, so I admin not very well right now because I deleted Facebook off of my phone, so I'm not as active as I should be. But we are admins of a local Florida group called Sunshine State Planners, and we attempt to be kind of like a hub for everybody in Florida. So we've got people from South Florida, North Florida, West, East, all over the place, Florida. And so we hosted a conference in January. We had Amber from Damask Club, Teresa Collins, a couple of local shops and influencers gave different presentations, and it was awesome. We had vendors, some of my favorite vendors in the planner community. We had My Newest Addiction, Day Muco, Indian Ivy was there. She was there. Sugary Gal Shop. It was awesome. It's funny because I forget that happened this year because it feels like we've lived a decade just in this one year. But it did happen at the beginning of this year, and actually Tammy was there too. Julie was there. It was awesome.
I love that. So, Myra, because I know Myra lives in Ohio with me too. Girl, we gotta move. We go to Florida or something. So, what advice would you give to anyone who's trying to figure, maybe like find their community even within this planner community? Like, where would you say they start? Because I mean, you just did a whole conference, girl.
It's so different now. Like, I feel like when I first started in the planner community, Facebook groups are where it was at, and that was where you found like your local people to find connections with and to do local meetups with. I feel like Facebook groups, people are falling out of love with Facebook, and I don't blame them. So it's definitely less out of fashion than it was before. But I would say maybe start trying there to see if there's like a statewide or regional or whatever group, see if they do local meetups. Obviously right now it looks a little bit different. Like previously we had our monthly meetup like clockwork every single Sunday, like the second or third Sunday of the month, and we haven't been able to have that since February. So we have made the decision for now not to do any Zoom meetups just because the amount of people that we would anticipate coming would be a little bit unmanageable. And frankly, by the time the weekend comes, I'm burnt out on Zoom calls. I don't want to do anymore. So I love my people, but I'm trying to protect my space and my energy and not make myself do something and be committed to something that I know is going to be difficult for me. So we haven't done any Zoom meetups, but there have been other regional groups in Florida that have been doing virtual meetups. And so we just make it a point to be like, hey, make sure you post your thing in our group so our members that are local, if they want to attend, they can have that community. But for now, like I can't. I'm tapped out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So speaking of being tapped out, you had spoke a little bit to balance earlier. How do you manage it all? Like,
some days better than others. So I would say right now, one thing that I've been reflecting on recently is that before the pandemic, I always felt like if I worked at home, that it would give me more flexibility to do things more consistently that I wanted to, like work out every single day and just different stuff. Because, no commute. I don't have to take 45 minutes every single morning to drive to work and then an hour to get home. And I've actually found the opposite has been true. And part of it is that it's not that it's working from home as a challenge. It's working from home in a pandemic. That's the challenge, So I'm trying to show myself grace for that and not be disappointed that I haven't done more with the time that I've had, because I am someone who's prone to anxiety and depression. And I work in a space that requires a lot of emotional energy every single day. Being on social media, even if you're having a day where people aren't being huge jerks, like it's still very emotionally draining, because I've got to be logged into Twitter and making sure that if there's a post that I can retweet from a partner or a brand that we follow that would make sense with our audience, like it's just constantly digesting people's information and opinions on stuff, and it's definitely emotionally taxing. So I've not been, like I said, as productive or as balanced in some areas of my life as I would like to be. But I realized one thing that I'm looking forward to is going back to work, because I feel like going back to work is where I feel a sense of routine and structure. So I feel like that is going to help me reestablish some of my healthy habits. Like back when I was working out more than I am now that I'm home, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever, except for the fact that like it's very hard to find boundaries in the situation that we're in. So like for example, I'm sitting in my bedroom, the computer that I have behind me is where I work. That's where I spend, 8, 9 hours a day. But on the other side of this screen is the other side of my bedroom where I sleep every single night. Over there is my closet. This door back here is my bathroom. So like my whole life is basically contained in these four walls right now. So it becomes harder and harder to establish what those boundaries are and say, okay, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to log off the computer now, like I would at work. It's just like, oh, I'm not even paying attention to the time. I'm just sitting in the room and I'm just continuing to work or keep responding to emails or whatever it might be. So I would say that this year has been, not unlike many people, a really hard year to find a sense of balance and being good at all the things. There are some things that I've just had to get off of and be like, it's fine. I'll pick that up again in 2021.
I'll pick that up again in 2021. She didn't say tomorrow. She didn't say this week. She didn't even say next. She said, I'm going to pick that up in 2021.
Yeah, because at this point, it seems like probably January will be the earliest that I'll be like in the office on a more consistent basis. And I have come to realize that having that, okay, I've got to be up by this time because I've got to be in the car by this time to beat traffic, to make it to work on that sort of time. And same thing when I'm leaving work at the end of the day. I don't want to leave at a certain time because I'm going to be stuck in traffic. But if I time it just right, then I can get home at a decent time. Like all of those little decisions that you make on a daily basis that you then don't have to make, they just kind of slowly fall by the wayside. And then you get really comfortable just doing whatever is needed to survive at that time. And I think that's the thing, is that I'm a little bit in survival mode this year instead of thriving like I was last year. And it's funny because I thought this year I'd be thriving more than I am, but
girl, we all thought we were going to be thriving in 2020.
So.
I love that so much. You just dropped so much. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like you're such a wealth of knowledge. And if you're even a content creator, I encourage you to go back and re-listen to this because you're just dropping so much wisdom and y'all are cracking me up in these comments. Like I can't, Myra, I can't with you. I can't.
What did Myra say? I missed it.
Myra said she ain't coming to Florida because what she say? No fall. The ghetto.
Myra, you're right though. Like honestly, that's something that every single year I tell my husband, I'm like, my will to live in this state dies a little bit more every single fall because I'm originally from New York. So like I'm used to falls and winters, like real winters. He's from California and like LA, California. So he's not used to cold weather like quite like that. And he actually lived a few years in Honduras. So he has always been in like warm weather climate. So he's not really down for any kind of cold weather, but I'm like, but we're supposed to put pumpkins outside of our house and they don't like die in 3 days.
Wait, the pumpkins die in Florida?
Like rot and get nasty because it's just so humid and disgusting outside. So it's sad. Like who wants to spend fall like that? I don't want to go outside on Christmas Day and I'm hot in my Christmas pajamas. Like that's not enjoyable for anybody.
It's so funny hearing your end because I'm over here like, yeah, like I like fall. I don't like winter, but I'm always like, if I really want fall and I really want winter, I can just drive to the Midwest or the, East Coast and be with family. And then when I'm done, like when I got that fix, I can just leave and go back south, like where I want to go.
It's just like, there's only one season. It's just hot the whole time. Like the degrees of hot varies depending on what month you're in, but the whole season for the whole year is just hot.
Y'all, these comments are lighting up. Sorry if I don't get to them all, but the one question you said, you were like, you had said something about, I'm just going to leave that. Like, I'll get to that in 2021. What are some of the things that you found that like, okay, this is just something that's just not going to happen this year. And I need to I'm going to put that off in 2021. And I want you to comment and tell me what y'all putting in 2021.
I would love to know what everybody else has to say.
Me too.
So one thing that I feel like I hope in 2021 will be a little bit different for me is I had committed myself and actually was doing pretty well in like January and February, but then obviously I started working from home in March, was having like better boundaries with my work. But like I said, now since I'm all in this space, it gets really easy to be like, I'll just stay on an extra hour so I can get that task done, or I'm going to stay on, or come back later tonight and finish that thing so I don't have to think about it in the morning. So that's definitely one thing that I want to get back to being more disciplined with once I'm back in the office and have a better routine established of not staying on logged in longer than I need to. And another thing that was important to me this year was to explore what this content creation side thing looks like for me a little bit more deeply. Because, like I said, it's a passion project, but it's just something that, like, when I have time and energy, I just do. And one of the things I really wanted to challenge myself to do was to, like, speak at an event or be asked to speak at a virtual conference or whatever it is. And fortunately, I've actually had two really good opportunities that I don't know would have happened this year if not for COVID. One of them was being on the Planner Lifestyle podcast. I had the opportunity to do that, which I'd never been asked to specifically come on and talk about myself before. And then being here with you tonight, I don't know if this would have happened, you know what I mean, in any other scenario of what 2020 would have been. So I'm really grateful for these things because they at least gave me like some sense of like, okay, I want to do this. I want to keep exploring this a little bit more, be a little bit more committed to it, but with not having as many opportunities open, like what does that even look like? So I'll be curious in 2021 what that looks like going forward.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. I love that so much. Someone had said family vacations got migrated to 2021. Yes. Yes, Mika. Yes.
For us too, we were supposed to go to California this fall. My husband just graduated, got his undergrad in the end of the summer in electrical engineering. So we were planning to do like a huge, let's go across the country to California to meet all of his family on that side of the family that I haven't had a chance to meet and my son hasn't had a chance to meet. And that's not happening. So maybe next year.
Yep, because yes, Whitney, I want to travel the entire of 2021. Yes. Tammy had said, I'm trying to figure out how to adapt what I wanted to do in 2020 to fit in the way things are now instead of waiting for things to change. That's good. That's good. I love that. Yes, Tammy. Yes. Y'all, I'm gonna get your questions ready. Cause listen, we got Cynthia here. Literally, like I said, the content queen. So if you have any questions, now will be the time to start putting those in the comments because listen, you can slide into her DMs, but I can't guarantee she's going to answer them right away. This is your moment right now to get your questions answered. Okay. My question is, okay, so you told me your planners that you have. What are your planner must-haves? In terms of accessories, stickers? I have to give you a limit because everyone gets mad at me if I made them get a limit, but then I don't have the current person get it. So I'm going to say 5 of your must-have planner accessories.
So number 1 is a good pen. And right now the pen that I'm addicted to is the Pigma Micron pen. I love using that in both of my planners. It writes really nicely on good paper.
Which one do you use? Which size?
Hold on. I don't know. It's just this one that I've got here.
Oh, it says PN.
Yeah.
What size is that?
I don't think there is a size on it, actually. It's just Pigma Micron. Does anyone know? Let me know in the comments if you know. I don't see a size on here.
Because these are one of my favorite pens, and they normally say a size.
This one doesn't come with a size. Maybe it's something special about this PN one. I'm not sure. But this one for sure, highly recommend. So since I'm in rings, I have to have really good, I have my inserts, so I have to have really good paper. That's essential because I print out my inserts. I do buy from shops like Cloth and Paper and Infinite Lotus, but I also print out some printables from different shops like Annie Plans and Jasenia Printables. I love Jasenia Printables. Okay, Julie says PN is just one size. So paper, pen, Simply Gilded washi. That's another essential for me. I use it almost every single week in my Plan with Me's. If you follow me, you should know this. What else? So when I cut my washi, I use one of those Fiskars knives, and I'm addicted to that because it just cuts it so perfectly. So that's definitely a must-have. And then mild liners. So if we're talking totally functional, if I just didn't have stickers, didn't have all that extra stuff. Of course, I love stickers, but if I can only have 5 things, then I would put, a pen, paper, my washi cutter, and some mild liners.
I love that. And yeah, I purchased my first 12 Days of Christmas from Simply Gilded because I was like,
Um,
and then Vashaka had like sent me some washi sample from Simply Gilded, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I see why everyone's obsessed with this washi.
So I showed it on my Instagram stories, but like the laptop is level right now for me to be able to do this video because it's on my containers of Simply Gilded washi. Like that's what I'm using to keep it up. Yeah. So
Oh,
not too much Simply Gilded washi.
oh, I love that. Okay, so so the PN stands for plastic nib.
Okay.
Okay, there's this thing. I think Julie said this. You have your thin nib persons who like the really thin little writing, and then we have our thick nib people who like the really like thick ones. And I'm definitely like a thick nib kind of a person, and so that's my jam. I really like the thick, inky, pigmented pens, which is why I really like that pen. Oh, okay, you have a lot of questions, Cynthia. Okay, Vashaka says, how do you get around giving grace to yourself, planning, content, and mom wise?
So I always feel like planning on content comes second to mom wise. However, I do feel like it's important to make time and hold space for things that are meaningful to me, like being creative and like having something that's for myself. And thankfully, my husband is really supportive of that with me. So like he knows that my planning time is non-negotiable, or the time where I do my plan with me's are non-negotiable. So he always allows me that room to do that. And when I'm able to fill my cup like that again and get grounded through planning and kind of getting intentional again about what matters to me and what I really want to think about this week and all that kind of stuff, I feel like that makes me a better mom. So I feel like prioritizing whatever helps you keep grounded is an important way of showing yourself some grace there. And if it's not working for you, like if that's not going to be the thing that helps you get grounded or intentional again, then like find whatever that looks like for you, whether it's meditation, going for a run, like taking a nap. Sometimes it's like I don't want to be productive at all. I'm tired of being productive. Like I'm done. We're not going to do anything. Sometimes
Mhm.
I just get in my bed and take a nap or watch Netflix for a little while. And I feel like that's so important because that just makes you a better person. So if you're in those spaces where like you can't figure out like how you do the thing and like just let it go and not beat yourself up about it, like replace it with something that's going to make you feel good and make you feel like you did something for yourself is what I would say.
Oh, I love that. Julie, oh, I want to know. She has a question. When are we going to collab, Cynthia?
Ooh, you let me know, Julie. You can find me. You got my number, girl. Come on, let's do it.
I'm so here for that. So Ray said, top content creation advice. Sorry if you talked about this already. Husband's talking my ear off while I'm trying to listen to you, girl.
I kind of talked about this earlier, but I think the biggest thing is being consistent and being consistently yourself. So Saray, I feel like has a really great handle on making her content very authentic and identifiable. You know what she's going to be talking about, like what perspective she's coming from, how it's going to look. And I feel like for her, someone who's already good at those things to level up is like figure out ways that you can maybe automate what you're doing right now or like take your content and maybe make it a little bit more evergreen. So like one thing that's a really important tool if you're like a content creator is to find out like what your evergreen content is, like what things can you be talking about all the time and how many different ways can you create content around that same topic or theme or message or whatever it is. So those are recommendations that I would have for someone like her who I would say is like a little bit more advanced than someone who's starting out for the first time.
Okay, and for my people who are new to content creation, can you explain and talk about, you just said a big word, automate, and then you said evergreen. Break
So
that down for my new people. Yeah.
So automation is of course like finding some kind of scheduling tool and there are tons of paid tools out there. Obviously in my work we pay for automation tools, but there's also, you know, Facebook has Creator Studio, which is a free tool. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's definitely a way to schedule Instagram content, Facebook content. There are also pretty inexpensive services out there too, like later.com and later.com, their blog is, it's like, I'm going to say this to everybody who's on this live right now. It's one of my like secret resources is later.com. People don't realize that it's out there. And a lot of times I find out about trends or products or new things that are coming before other people do because I stalk their blog. So definitely go ahead and check out later.com. But automation is a big way to save yourself time. Also, automating doesn't necessarily just have to mean tools. It could be like automating as far as like batching all your content together. So taking all your pictures at the same time and maybe taking a picture of the same thing but in a couple of different angles so you can use it on different platforms, or use that picture from one perspective one week and then 3 weeks later talk about the product in a different way using a completely different angle that you took of that same product in that same format or whatever it might be. And then evergreen is just like those things that are always going to be true about your business or your brand or your niche. Like that's your evergreen content, that's your bread and butter. Take all the notes, do all these things.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And they were talking about how, Julie got to shoot her shot at you and collab with you. And someone said Julie did not throw away her shot. No, she didn't.
I love Hamilton, so I'm here for the Hamilton references.
Yes.
I know Myra isn't, but I am.
Myra said, what was the app for the reels again?
So Whitney may have put this in the chat, but InShot is a really great app. It's a free app. I'm pretty sure it's free. I've had it for so long, I can't remember if it's free or not anymore, but I think it is free. That's a really great app to extract audio. So like if you're taking audio from a television show or a movie or something like that and want to put it into your reel and do a voiceover, you can use it for that. They have a speed up option, which can help you speed up your content or slow it down or whatever it may be. You can splice different videos together. And if you don't have sound or music for your reels, which I know is still kind of like a bug for some people, InShot can be your way around that. So highly recommend.
Oh, I love that. Kat asks, what paper are you using to print your inserts?
It's the Hammer Mill. I think it's the 28 pound. I think I made a video recently where I said 32, but that was actually inaccurate. 32 is what I use for like dashboards because it's a thicker cardstock, but 28 is kind of like that in between of really thick cardstock and then just like your standard kind of paper.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Planning It Simple says, how do you grow in social media platforms organically and naturally?
So if you're talking about Instagram in particular, one thing that I highly recommend is hashtag research. So trying to see what hashtags are relevant to people that would be potential followers for you or a potential client of yours if you have a service-based business or something like that, or if you're a shop owner, you have an Etsy shop, whatever that might look like. Be where your potential followers are going to be. So if there's someone that like you think their content's really awesome, go look at what hashtags they're using and look and see if you can add any of those into your posts. If there are like planners is a really big hashtag. Like what are some different things you can do to be more specific with planners, like planner rings or planner, washi or something like that, like whatever it might be. Go research that hashtag, see about how many posts there are on the hashtag. People generally recommend staying beneath like 100K. If you have a hashtag that has over 100K, it's unlikely that you're going to be found through that hashtag, but it also doesn't mean that it's impossible. So I wouldn't say abandon those things, but try to get and drill down as niche and specific as you can get, because then that's how people are going to find you.
Oh, y'all, listen, someone had said this, and I'm just going to scroll real quick to this comment because girl, you need to be charging for this. Where do I send the check? Listen, I feel like I need to send you a check after tonight because
I love doing this. This is, this is knowledge that I have just out of trial and error of doing my job for as many years as I have. And I love sharing it with other people, especially people that are like, I want to be like them. You know what I mean? And it's like, I have this knowledge, so I want you to continue to be as successful as you are and be even better than you are right now.
Oh my goodness. You're like a content creation champion of others. I love it. Okay. Someone had asked the steps I know you had talked about this, like you save your post and then you add them to your stories to show.
So in the Instagram saved area, you can create collections and make different names for them. So maybe like the first person that you decide, oh, this is a person I want to feature. When you go to click the little like page flag looking icon, if you click on that, it'll give you the option to like make a name for a new collection. So my collection is just called To Share. And so at the end of every week, like I said, during the week, I'll just hit that page flag, make sure I select the collection called To Share. And then at the end of the week, I'll go back into my saved, which you can find under your settings, a little like gear icon on your Instagram, and then go back to each one of those posts, tap on them, use that little paper airplane looking thing and share it to your stories is how you would do that.
Love that. Okay. Mika had asked, do you think it's absolutely necessary to separate your planner IG from your personal one? She's nervous about starting over. Plus she feels like my her larger family is the reason she plans at all?
I don't think so. I think one of the biggest things that I tell people is like, just be mindful of like how personal you want to be with people that maybe are just trying to find planner inspiration for you. So for some people, like I have a friend who's like very open on her IG stories and like she owns a business too. And like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I would have said all of that on my business Instagram. But like that's what people expect from her. That's what they like about her. They feel like that's her authentic self and that's what works for her. But that's not always going to be the case. So you really just need to think about, like I said, like figure out like how much you want to be open about your personal life with people. I've talked about this before, but like for me, I don't share my son on my Instagram whatsoever because he's 6 and he doesn't have the ability to consent to being on social media. And I just feel like as his mom, I want to respect the fact that that's a choice he'll be able to make for himself someday. I don't think it's appropriate for me right now to make that choice for him. So on my very public Instagram where I have, you know, almost 4,000 followers and I don't know all of those people, I'm not going to go ahead and put him and put his face out on the internet. So like I said, that's my personal boundary. Some people are different and you just have to think about what works for you.
I love that. I love that. Yes, Julie, taking all the notes. Listen, this is so good. So, so good. Myra, yeah, you definitely need to be charging.
I love you.
Like content school.
New
Where's your Cash App, girl? People listen. I'm like, can we pass the collection plate?
Chat. Oh my gosh.
Okay, well listen, you got another request here.
Oh my God, I would love to be. I would be like, so I don't know how many people are into the Real Housewives, but when like Andy Cohen does Watch What Happens Live, he'll have like Real Housewives super fans come on his program to talk about how much they love the show. And I feel like that would be me on Planners and Wine. Like I would just come on and be like, I just love you guys so much. Like let's just chat about planners. Doesn't have to be any specific topic. I just want to hang out with Megan and Myra.
Yes, y'all, I don't care. I'm doing my shameless plug. Listen, Megan and Myra are killing it over at Planners and Wine, y'all. Like, what they're doing is amazing. The guests that they have on is fantastic. And it's encouraging and it's inspiring, and you're hearing what you're hearing from company owners, and it's just amazing. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about it, but it's just really nice to see two women of color doing something so amazing and so powerful. And I love you guys. So that's my plug for them. It's just amazing. If you're not listening, you should totally be listening to that podcast because it's like Tammy said, Planners and Wine is fire. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. This, Cynthia, I feel like I gotta have you back, girl, because this was so good.
It went by so quickly. I'm like, I can't believe we're almost an hour. That's wild. But that just goes to show what a great conversation and time we've been having here.
Yes, it has been so encouraging. And I just feel like I have to change the title of our talk to Planners and Content Creation because I feel like if you're a content creator, this was definitely an episode for you. And I thank you so much for sharing your resources and not hiding them and keeping them to yourself. So I really, really appreciate that. Y'all, let me know your biggest takeaway. And Cynthia, do you have any final words you want to leave out to anyone who's new to content creation or just someone who's been doing it for a while? Any final words that you want to leave us with?
I would just say, again, getting back to being yourself, whatever that looks like. And if you're not in a place to be yourself, that's okay. Take breaks where you need it. Consistency is important, but it's not more important than your mental health and your wellness, all that kind of stuff. So if you need a break, you need to step away. Like I said, I do this all day, every day. So a lot of times that's why you only get one in-feed Instagram post from me a week because that's all I have the energy to do. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. And that's where you need to get, figure out what's working for you.
Yes, I love that. Yes, I want you to see the takeaways that people have said. Stay authentic in content creation. Shonda said this is invaluable info, and I just brought my Moxie Light. Yay! Julie says biggest takeaway, all of it. Every second of this episode was amazing. I love this. Yes, y'all. Yes. Cynthia's amazing, brilliant, and beautiful.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in and being here. I told Darian, I was like, I don't know what you're going to bring me on for. I just like to hang out with everybody. What are we going to talk about? But I like I said, this is just what I do. So I'm happy to offer it up to people. And it's been great to feel validated and feel like you guys really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you for your time tonight.
Yes. And where can everybody find you and keep up with you?
So on Instagram and YouTube, I'm Cynthia Plans. You can find me there. And then, of course, you can find my blog, www.proseccoandplanners.com.
Y'all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Cynthia, thank you so much for being here. I'm just blown away. Thank you. Y'all, I will see y'all next week, and y'all have a great night. Bye.